Welcome, everybody. It's quite late in the day, and we've had a lot of really exciting input and things to think about over the last couple of days. Please take this workshop as a chance to relax a little bit. There will be a couple of points where I'll invite you to look away from the screen and just listen. So hopefully it'll be a nice way to start to round off the day. This is a workshop in two parts, and the first part will be a very short introduction to my doctoral research, where I'm using collaborative songwriting both to explore and to practice integration. And in the second part, we're going to do a tiny taster of participatory songwriting. Don't be scared. I'm not going to ask you to sing. Hopefully we'll have some fun together. Okay, I want to start by saying thank you so much to the conference organisers and all the participants. For me, it's been really fascinating, and there's so much interesting common ground around ideas like play, imagination, literature, critical pedagogy, and hospitality. There's too many connections to name, but I hope that this session will add another perspective that complements all that we've already heard. I'm not coming at this from a language teaching perspective, but I hope that there might be ideas and tools and theories that you could find helpful in whatever you are doing. So I'll start by introducing myself, although that was quite a good big introduction from Deirdre. I've got quite a patchwork past, and that includes studying languages and living and working in different places, particularly in community development contexts. And music has been a central part of my community practice. So I've been involved in community choirs and songwriting workshops with people in prison, people who've experienced forced migration and care experienced young people, and lots of other groups. And a few years ago, I wondered if it would be possible to draw some of these threads together into a PhD. And I was lucky enough to get some funding to do that. So now I'm in the final year. The time has just flown by. And in the final year of this practice-based and interdisciplinary PhD. And it's drawing on quite a wide range of disciplines, including migration studies, criminology, language and translation, community development, and music and songwriting. And the research took the form of 3 sets of participatory songwriting workshops with 3 different community organisations. So Vox Liminis, who do a lot of work around the criminal justice system, Scottish detainee visitors, who take volunteer visitors to Dungavel Immigration Detention Centre, and they run a group called Life After Detention. And also the Youth Community Support Agency, who work to support young people from minority ethnic backgrounds in Glasgow. Thanks to the Creative Multilingualism Initiative, which I'm sure lots of you will know about, I was able to take some research participants into a studio to record some of the songs. So what I will hand in as my PhD submission will be an album of recorded music, as well as a shorter length thesis. So it's really a great privilege and a lot of fun to get to do this stuff. Okay. Let's see. My research role is not primarily to do with pedagogy and education. I'm not involved in language teaching, but I hope that people will learn new things through the workshops. The primary focus is on exploring how we build social connections through creativity and self-expression. One second. So as the research has progressed, multilingualism and voice have emerged as really significant in the co-creative process. I'm going to just touch on 4 theoretical points of contact that have helped to ground the research. Firstly, linguistic hospitality, a term used by Paul Ricoeur to conceptualize the translation process. And he describes this as where the pleasure of dwelling in the other's language is balanced by the pleasure of receiving the foreign word at home in one's welcoming house. So there's lots there about welcome and hospitality and about the kind of fluid, porous line between guest and host. Secondly, linguistic incompetence. Alison Phipps has written about this in the context of researching multilingually as a way to disrupt the power dynamics of the researcher with all the power up here and the participants down here. Instead, the researcher is in the vulnerable position of a beginner, prepared to look silly or make mistakes or be misunderstood, but also entering a place of new possibilities. Thirdly, narrative therapy, as developed by Barbara Meyerhoff. And this is a way to escape the kind of narrow, negative, or traumatic narratives that people often carry. These can be reinforced by systems like the asylum system or the criminal justice system. And this is a way of recognizing that we are all made up of a multiplicity of identities and stories, and trying to open up our perceptions to include more colorful and nuanced possibilities for our identities. And this resonates really strongly with Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's words in her amazing TED Talk, which you might have seen. I recommend. She says, the danger of the single story is not that it is untrue, but that it is incomplete. Finally, I think embracing multilingualism in creative processes can help to support the momentum in academia and the arts towards decolonization. Instead of a deficit-based approach to language where people at the margins are judged on their lack of language rather than their fluencies, multilingual approaches to creative processes can constitute a move towards equality. And this is stuff that I'm sure you all know from your perspective, but it's been lots of learning for me around this. So just to quote Bell Hooks, feminist theorist, and her powerful words, "Dare I speak to you in a language that will move beyond the boundaries of domination, a language that will not bind you, fence you in, or hold you. Language is also a place of struggle. The oppressed struggle in language to recover ourselves, to reconcile, to reunite, to renew. Our words are not without meaning. They are an action, a resistance. Language is also a place of struggle." I could talk all day about these things, but I will move on to a little bit of, a couple of quotes from participants who've been part of the songwriting workshops. The first is from a Ghanaian participant who said that she didn't previously really notice her language skills in Twi, her mother tongue from Ghana. But once we used some of her words in a song, she said this: "I will value my language now." The second is from a young person who saw their mother tongue as boring and functional, and English as more exciting and creative. And we asked this young person to sing in Malay in the studio, and their response was, "I never knew Malay could sound beautiful." The last two quotes come from a conversation with a group of young people who you're about to meet through their song. So I'll tell you more about them in a minute, but these are their quotes about creating a song together in many languages. "Singing together in different languages feels like without bloodline, we're still like family. It feels like we're all one person and we all come from one place. It's like we were lost and we met again." So I want to give you an example of what the songwriting process might look like, just to break it down. This is a song that was written on the Friday night of a songwriting workshop with a group of young women from all over the world, and now in Glasgow. Most of them either had refugee status or were still caught up in the brutalities of the asylum system. And when we wrote this song, we didn't know each other well at all, so it was quite a shy beginning, but we've since collaborated together in lots of ways. We began the process by drawing around our hands on a piece of paper, and inside our handprints on the paper, we wrote ways that we might see ourselves or ways that others might see us. As a migrant, a friend, a sister, a student, for example. Then we filled the rest of the paper with more poetic or metaphorical representations of how we might see ourselves, as a tree or a lighthouse, for example. We pieced all these fragments together into verses, and to create the chorus, we found a metaphor that everybody found resonant and translated it into many of the languages in the room. The song has actually taken on a life of its own since it was written. It's been recorded in the studio. We've performed it at the Glasgow Women's Library and at the cultural programme of the European Championships in Glasgow. So it's had quite a journey. And I guess this kind of encapsulates the idea that I often use to frame the workshops, which is about this idea of a shared treasure chest, that all of us hold all these words inside us, all of our linguistic repertoires, and that we can see that as a treasure chest that we can share and learn from each other. So I'm going to have a go at playing this song for you now. Apologies in advance if the audio quality isn't amazing, but take the chance to have a screen break, look away, maybe do some stretches, rest your eyes. This is We Are the Sun. unicorn. I am a flower. I am an owl, a high tower. I am a wave. I am a tree. I am a lighthouse. I am green. I am the town on a Friday night. I am a magpie, a lucky sight. I'm a sweet potato, surprise inside. I am a well-worn scarf, nothing to hide. I am the sun. Eu sou, Ana al-Shams, Awani Yoru. I am an ant, never stopping. I am a robin, hear me singing. I am a building, I'll keep you safe. I'm a survivor, a brown bear. I am a listener, I am a fighter. I am a daughter, I am a sister. I am a rope bridge, a connection. I am an old coastal ruin. Namal Suryan Anu Sisi Niju Somos el sol. Kita adalah matahari. I am the sun. We are the sun. Okay. I don't know if anybody wants to intervene at this point with any comments or questions about the research process, or if you want to just jump straight into having a go at making our own song. Any thoughts on that?
I think we might all be in experimental mode. I think you've opened us up, you've sensitized us, and we're ready.
Okay.
Lead us on.
Let's do it. Let's do it, guys. Okay. So part 2. So I'm just going to reiterate here, don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to sing or share anything that you're not comfortable sharing. We're just going to work together to generate something that has never existed before, which is an exciting place to be. So, So starting points. Starting with a blank page can be the scariest thing in the world. But to me, creativity is not really about conjuring up something out of nothing. It's more about making interesting connections between things that already exist. So I often use a game or a poem or some other stimulus as a lyrical starting point. And it can be an easy and effective way to generate different fragments that can then be pieced together in unusual juxtapositions. So I want to give you an example of a starting point, and I'm taking this from this fantastic book, which I've just discovered. I don't know if you've heard of Kate Clancy. She's a teacher in England somewhere, I think, and she's also a poet. And she has been working for years helping people to write their own poetry. And she uses existing poems from a wide range of poets and languages and cultures. And she's kind of dismantles those and helps people to find the tools to find their own poetic voice. She's very cool. You might follow her on Twitter if you're a Twitter person. She posts lots of lovely poems. So let me just find the right page. I'm going to read you a poem from this book. And again, feel free to take a screen break, close your eyes, have a stretch. This is a poem called The Table by a Turkish poet called Edip Cansever. And I'm going to read it now. A man filled with the gladness of living put his keys on the table, put flowers in a copper bowl there. He put his eggs and milk on the table. He put there the light that came in through the window, sounds of a bicycle, sound of a spinning wheel. The softness of bread and weather he put there. On the table, the man put things that happened in his mind. What he wanted to do in life, he put that there. Those he loved, those he didn't love, the man put them on the table too. 3 times 3 make 9. The man put 9 on the table. He was next to the window, next to the sky. He reached out and placed on the table endlessness. So many days he had wanted to drink a beer. He put on the table the pouring of that beer. He placed there his sleep and his wakefulness. His hunger and his fullness he placed there. Now that's what I call a table. It didn't complain at all about the load. It wobbled once or twice and then stood firm. The man kept piling things on. So, keeping in mind that poem, hang on a second. I'm just going to give you a short creative task, okay? I'm just going to give you 2 or 3 minutes to do this, I think. And all I'm asking for is 4 words or phrases in any language. And if you don't feel comfortable participating, that's totally fine. But hopefully a few people will chuck something into the pot. Excuse me. So here's the task. Write down the following 4 items. Use English or any other language you have inside you. Play around, mix languages, enjoy the sounds of the words. Keep it short and remember there's no wrong answer. So one thing that you can see or touch from where you're sitting, a copper bowl, a light through the window, like in the poem, or a red car, an old pencil. One other noun, something you can see in your mind's eye, the mist or a mountain or a ripe pineapple. One sound or smell, a bicycle bell, someone's voice, a branch breaking, the smell of cut grass or your grandmother's perfume. And one abstract idea, like 3 times 3, or hunger, or hope, or darkness, or growth. I'm going to ask you, I'll leave the instructions up there, and as soon as you have a word or a phrase, just pop it in the chat. As I say, all languages are welcome. Okay, so that is by my time just after 1:15, so I'll just give you a couple of minutes to do that, and I'll keep an eye on the chat and see what appears. Oops. These are fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Okay, I think we've got loads to go on here. Feel free to keep them coming. What I'm hoping to do is we'll just make a tiny fragment today. And then if there's more input in the chat, I will try to make a slightly longer song out of it and hopefully send it round. These are really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay. What we're going to do now is I'm going to give you a series of creative choices. If we were in a room together and we had more time, we would do this in a much more fleshed out way. But with the limitations of Zoom, I'm going to ask you to use the reaction functions to vote. So do you want to just test out, right? This is the first choice. This is just a test run. The reactions are at the bottom on the right-hand side. You press reactions and then some little different symbols pop up. So we're going to be using the clapping hands and the thumbs up. So I would like you to vote now on whether you would right now prefer to eat pizza or a fish supper, just as a test run. Whoa, speedy responses. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to ask Deirdre to be the vote counter, the unbiased electoral commission. And she is going to count our votes in these creative choices.
Okay.
So in the poem that we started from, the repository was a table. The guy was putting all these items on the table. So given that we are talking so much about words and languages, I was wondering what our repository could be. And I thought about the ideas of either a library or a dictionary. So I'd like you to choose now by voting which one of those concepts you think should be the kind of backbone.
So are you going to say hands up for library or hands up for dictionary?
No, so people are going to vote by library is clapping hands.
Okay.
And dictionary is thumbs up. So
can we do a kind of 1, 2, 3 start again, just because the hands only stay up for a few seconds?
They disappear quite quickly, don't they? So if you
so libraries, hands and dictionaries.
So yep. Library, hands, dictionary, thumbs up. Oh, it's looking quite close. It's a nail biter. What do you think, Deirdre?
Well, I didn't think it was close. I thought we only had 2 dictionaries.
Oh, right,
okay. Confirm that again. Can we ask the dictionaries to do the thumbs up once more, please? Yep, 3.
Okay, so we've got library.
And I got 7 or 8 for library.
Okay, library is. Good stuff. And the next one. So are we putting things into the library, all these concepts that we've come up with? Are we putting them into the library or are we taking them out? So clapping hands for putting our concepts into the library and thumbs up for taking them out. What do you think on that one, Deirdre?
I think I got 6 for into and 4 for out. Okay. Happy to be corrected. Very happy.
Okay. Good stuff. And the next question is about the music. So lots of you, I'm sure, will be much more musically talented than I am. But major key and minor key is something that you might be familiar with. So major key sounds quite chirpy, quite a happy feel to it. A minor key is more sort of a melancholy sort of feel. And it's maybe a bit more sort of evocative or sad. So you can choose now with clapping hands or thumbs up, which you would prefer. So clapping hands for the more sort of jolly, happy sound, and thumbs up for a minor key. What have we got, Deirdre? What do you think?
I think we've got even Stevens. So we maybe just ask everyone to click the hand if they want jolly. Okay, now everyone put the thumbs up for minor. Anyone else? There were more thumbs before. Thumbs again. Yeah, I think it was 4 and 4. So I think maybe the artist decides.
Oh no, that's the hardest thing. Maybe the facilitator chair decides. What do you think, Deirdre? You have the casting vote.
I'll go for minor.
Okay, minor it is. And the final question is just whether it should be a faster tempo or a slower tempo.
Okay, so fast being hands and slow
So
being
fast
thumbs.
is hands, slow is thumbs up.
Okay, fast is winning so far. Anyone
Okay.
else to go? Do so now. Fast has the vote.
Fast has the vote. Okay. Excellent practice of democracy there.
Exactly.
What we all need. Okay, so I am just going to stop sharing this screen and go to a Word document instead. So that we can make a start. Oops. If you can hear some loud noises, that's my kids home. Okay.
Nice.
How are we doing for time, Deirdre?
You are 14 minutes into the workshop.
Okay. Is that all? Oh, into the workshop bit. And
the
not
workshop.
into the whole thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That is fine. So I will put in my library. That was what we decided, wasn't it? We had a library and we're putting things in. Make that a bit bigger so everybody can see it. And I'm just going to put in a few bits and pieces here. Caramelized onions.
Thank you.
Une statuette. A plant. And some steps. Oggi albero. Am I saying that right?
Oggi is for today, here and now, and albero is tree.
Is tree, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
They don't need to go together.
Okay. Albero. Okay, nice. Can you, Dobrokna, you gave us something that looked like an interesting thing. Haftowana podushka.
I show it to you.
Yeah. Tell me how to say that right.
Haftowana poduszka.
Haftowana podushka.
Do you want me to show it to people? What is it?
Sure. Yeah. Ooh. Tell us more.
Cushion, but with all this beautiful design.
That's beautiful. Oh, okay. We're going to put in an oil lamp, floating kumo. Am I saying that right? Cloud in Japanese. Oh, so many beautiful. A warm cheese scone. That's going in. And la mer. Smell of mint tea. Okay, let's work with these ones. Oh, hang on. Oh, Sheiru. Oops. Da shuva. That's something about the rain, isn't it, Catherine? Can you tell us what that one is?
Yes, it is. It is the smell of the rain. It's
The smell
raining
of the
here.
rain.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. So let's just have a go at making this into a song. It's going to be rough and ready. So we decided a minor key. Yeah. I will put in my library caramelized onions and statuette. I will put in my library a plant and some steps. Oggi albero haftovana podushka. I will put in an oil lamp, floating kumo, a warm cheese scone. La mer, the smell of mint tea. Ushehu, Dashuva. All these things I will put in my library. Da 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 da. My library. Our library in our library. Our library. Da 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 in our library. There we go. Very rough and ready, but yeah, we made a song. Thank you for all your input and all your ideas. I'm just going to put on the final page of my PowerPoint, which is just really to say that these are my contact details, and if you're interested in getting in touch, then please do that. My whole practice is so collaborative, and although I'm now living in Sweden and not in Glasgow, the wonderful world of Zoom makes lots of things possible. So if anybody's interested in talking more or sharing your own work with me, I'd really welcome that. Also, I make a wee podcast, which is really just audio notes and some fragments of song from my PhD process. So you can find that in the usual podcasty places, and it's called Our Chance of Becoming Human. Thank you so much for coming and for hanging out, and to the organisers and all the contributors for a really fantastic couple of days.